Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and enjoying your ending to your day, ending to your week. Got you an update, really quick update. Not going to keep you guys long at all tonight. On what potentially could happen tomorrow for areas of the eastern U.S. It's a portion of the country that really hasn't seen a whole lot of severe weather. All the severe weather, as we know, has been out west. Well, depending on what your location is, it might not be out west, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of the severe weather has been in the south central U.S., the Arkansas region, up to the Midwest. And there's definitely going to be some severe weather, some strong to severe storms across some highly populated areas like the eastern Carolinas, all the way up to the Delmarva area, maybe even Washington, D.C., Virginia Beach, Southeast Virginia, places like that. So we're going to talk about that. People are probably on vacation or heading to the beach this weekend. So I definitely think that your evening could get a little bit rocky if you're anywhere from maybe even as far south as the Georgia coastline all the way up to the Delmarva. So we'll talk about that for you really quick in this video. Not going to hold you guys up long at all. Then we'll go over all the information in tomorrow morning's video. But if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow. We'll see if this changes at all, throughout the overnight hours. And by the time I make you a video tomorrow, we'll see if we get an upgrade to a 5% risk or whatever it may be. But there is a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. It's level 2 out of 5, guys. And this goes from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way up to Washington, D.C., pretty much all the way up to Baltimore, and everybody in between in this yellow area. This includes cities like Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Raleigh, Greenville, Virginia Beach, Richmond, all these areas right into here in Southeast Virginia, Eastern North Carolina, and I would say the PD regions of South Carolina, and then the coastal regions of South Carolina could have some intense storms tomorrow. Trying to figure out the storm mode will be a big question. If this is more so just kind of a line of storms, then damaging winds and hail will be the biggest threat. But if you get any kind of discrete storm mode out there, this 2% risk of a tornado may verify, but right now it's very low. Pretty big area of a 2% risk area. Not that large though, but there's some highly populated areas in this 2% region. This does include Raleigh, all the way up to Washington, D.C. You got a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. We'll see if this upgrades to a 5% risk. I would say it doesn't. I would say the models have actually downtrended somewhat, the short-range models over the last a couple model runs, but we'll certainly watch this. But there will be a damaging wind threat. This will develop into a line of storms that will sweep through this entire slight risk area that I just mentioned. So you got a 15% risk of winds pushing 50 knots or higher within 25 miles in any given location. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. Hail threat, same kind of deal, 15% risk of hail pushing 1 inch in diameter or larger. No hatch risk or anything like that, but there is going to be some hail that's going to be obtained in some of these storms out here tomorrow for sure. So it's going to be a pretty active day. These storms will get going as early as around noontime tomorrow. We'll take a look at the latest long-range HRRR models. Start off around 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning, in the wee hours of the morning overnight, and you will have some heavy rain going over the southern Appalachian Mountains. And then, maybe some storm activity popping off early tomorrow morning. If you're an early riser waiting for, that sunrise along the South Carolina coastline, it could be blocked off by some storms, or maybe in the low country. We'll see. But getting into as the sun's going up, watch this. You got Columbia right here, Charlotte, and watch what happens. It's almost like the rain totally skips the Midlands of South Carolina. It's basically leftover energy from overnight. And then at the same time, you got the energy re-emerging kind of in these areas of the country and refiring up, but there's a little bit of a displacement in energy where some people just don't even get a drop of rain tomorrow. And I could say maybe my neck of the woods that happens, but we'll see. Storms immediately try to fire pretty early, around 7, 8 a.m. in the eastern Midlands, and you'll get a line of storms beginning to develop pretty early tomorrow morning. 7, 8, 9 a.m. These are sweeping across the central and eastern Carolinas, knock on the doorstep of Florence. These storms will try to weaken. This is just short-range model guidance. These will try to weaken. Down here, they might re-energize, up here, the Virginia, NC border, North Carolina border. And then this is when we start to watch. It's around lunchtime, 12 o'clock. Storms are starting to enter a somewhat prime environment for severe weather, and there's a little bit of a spin to the atmosphere up here. This is what we watch for an isolated tornado threat up into this region. Do we get any kind of semi-discrete cells up here? If we do, you got a higher tornado risk. Not necessarily a super high risk regardless, but you could have a tornado risk. If you live Richmond area, point south over to Virginia Beach, the Norfolk area, the southern tip of Delaware and Maryland down here, you could have a big storms. I could see a couple gnarly pictures of some shelf clouds entering the intercoastal ways and the coastal regions of Maryland and the waterways in this region tomorrow afternoon. Could certainly see it. And, I'll back it up a little bit. Storms will try to refire kind of right around the Fayetteville area, the Chesterfield, South Carolina area. We'll see if they make it all the way to the Midlands. They'll try to refire. And then we'll watch these storms too that will kind of sweep through the Carolinas. But definitely watch this nasty line of storms right here in far eastern Virginia, and this will tail off into the Delmarva. But I would say, sometime tomorrow afternoon, if you're on the coastal regions of South Carolina and southeast North Carolina, could have some big-time thunder boomers tomorrow. Strong winds, some hail is possible, some small hail. And then I think by the time we get into probably around midnight, all this is gone. You got much cooler air sweeping in. In fact, it's snowing in the higher elevations of West Virginia around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. Pretty wild stuff. And look at this little area of moisture that moves into the mountains. At some of the higher elevations, Sunday afternoon, you got a little bit of snow showing up in the 5,000-6,000 feet up. That's going to be interesting to see if this verifies. But, talking about the ingredients, I know, not many people, not everybody's interested in this, but I'll show you what's kind of driving this. It's just you got a fleeting air mass, and it's being replaced by a very dry and stable air mass. These are dew points in the 50s and 60s. 60s really build into here in the eastern areas of South Carolina and North Carolina, but not super rich dew points, like as in dew points in the upper 60s, low 70s, but it will get quite humid. And I think this is likely where you'll have your highest tornado threat, where your best thermodynamics and kinematics kind of mash up, and you got kind of a trailing low-level jet in this region. So maybe like a 35, 40 knot low-level jets just above, about a mile above our heads in this region. So this will help try to bring a little bit of some looping hodographs in this region. Maybe a quick spin up. Would not be surprised one bit if we get a tornado warning or two out of this setup. But as you can tell, dew points really spike ahead of this. For example, dew points of 38 degrees in Greenville, very dry, crisp air mass. And then at the same time, you got dew points in the low 60s around Myrtle Beach. So you can tell that this air mass is being replaced very quickly. And once it moves out, the atmosphere stabilizes, and the severe weather threat is all but gone. And in response to these somewhat high dew points, you will have some CAPE levels that try to spike into this region. They'll try to rebuild here in South Carolina. We'll try to see if you can have an elevated area of CAPE around 850, 1,000, 1,200 joules per kilogram in this region, the mixed layer. So we'll see what gets going in this region. One thing I don't show much, and it's actually a really cool little feature they added several months back on Pivotal Weather. It's actually really, really cool. It's the hodographs. So as you can tell, when the CAPE builds, these hodographs, which basically tries to symbolize the spin in the atmosphere, try to build into this region. You see they got a little bit of a kind of a loop to them right into here. That's when you watch for that brief tornado threat into kind of this region. See how this one's kind of looping? This one's looping, but over here, you don't really have much. It's more of a straight line. But we just got to watch tomorrow. It certainly could be a threat. And you look at the updraft Felicity swath. It shows a highlighted area right here around the NCVA border in southeast Virginia, far northeast of North Carolina. Shows a little bit of an elevated area right down here in North Carolina and South Carolina, but I would argue the biggest threat for a tornado risk is up here. So, I'll quickly mention this too. The very warm, almost early summer-like air will be all but gone by the time we get into Sunday. I think tomorrow will be one last pretty warm day along the southeast, and then cold front moves in. It'll still be really nice Sunday, but you'll notice it feels totally different out here. In fact, some of these areas might struggle to get out the 50s. Okay, Arkansas, Tennessee, Watching a little bit of moisture in this region for rain cooled air. But I mean, here we're getting into Monday morning. You're flirting with sub-freezing temperatures for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. You got 30s as far south as maybe northern Alabama and Mississippi. And just a chillier week, I think, coming up. We're getting into, next Tuesday. The only areas you see widespread 80s is pretty far south. Everybody else more crisp. It'll be definitely a cooler week next week with you'll need some jackets those last mornings of April out there. And definitely a cooler week. We have to watch a couple areas that could bring some rain, and that would keep temperatures even lower. But we'll watch next week. But outside of that, that's it. Having an update again tomorrow morning on what could happen for tomorrow. But you guys have a blessed Friday night, and I'll be with you guys tomorrow morning. God bless.